Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
Why do I always fuck that up? I always fuck that up. The set just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out.
Hollywood. We see the dazzling premieres, the perfect smiles, the acceptance speeches, but behind the velvet ropes and flashing lights, a different kind of drama unfolds. Forget the scripts on screen. The real plot twists happen in leaked text messages and power plays you wouldn't believe. And right now, a storm is brewing involving some of the biggest names in the game, threatening to rewrite careers and shake up the very foundations of superhero cinema. Ryan Reynolds. For years, he was the charming rom-com guy, the witty sidekick, always likable, never quite the main event. Then came Deadpool. It wasn't just a movie, it was a cultural earthquake. Reynolds poured his heart and soul, and seemingly his entire comedic arsenal, into the Merc with a mouth. Fans went wild, studios saw dollar signs turning into dollar mountains. Deadpool wasn't just a hit, it was his hit. He wasn't just starring, he was shaping the character, the tone, the entire irreverent brand that audiences devoured. He championed the R rating, the meta humor, the fourth wall breaks. It was Reynolds' vision brought to life, and it printed money. But whispers, as they always do in Hollywood, started circulating. Success can be a potent cocktail, and some insiders hinted that Reynolds' creative control was expanding beyond the set, maybe even a little too much for the studio's comfort. The underdog had become the alpha, and in Hollywood, that shift in power rarely goes unnoticed. The whispers weren't loud shouts, more like hushed conversations in studio backlots and executive suites. Was Deadpool becoming too much Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
My relationship with my father, which was very complicated and difficult. My dad was a very, I come from a middle class, kind of blue collar home, and my dad was just of that generation where it's just like, he was Clint Eastwood, less is more. Simple grunts is how he communicated.
Okay, gotcha.
I think people tell themselves stories, and this sort of comes back to your worldview that you just mentioned about.
Into this high-stakes Hollywood game where egos and studio budgets clash, steps Justin Baldoni. Picture the polar opposite of Deadpool's snarky chaos. Baldoni is known for his genuine warmth, his open heart, and a seemingly unwavering desire to create stories that uplift, that inspire, that make the world a slightly kinder place. He's the guy who makes you believe in the good of humanity, in earnest intentions, in heartfelt narratives. He took on the challenge of directing and starring in the adaptation of Colleen Hoover's It Ends With Us, a project clearly close to his heart, aiming for authenticity and raw emotional depth. You'd think this earnest filmmaker, with his focus on meaningful storytelling and positive vibes, would be shielded from the undercurrents of Hollywood power plays, content in his bubble of creative sincerity. But Hollywood has a funny, or perhaps not so funny, way of pulling everyone into the drama, even the nicest guys in town, and Baldoni, in his quest to bring a sensitive story to the screen, was about to find himself caught in a whirlwind he likely never expected, a storm brewing far outside his realm of good intentions.
No, I mean, I always thought I'd end up as in law enforcement, like my family. So I didn't imagine that acting was a way to get out of the house. It wasn't really like a passion when I was a kid. It was something that I was already doing at home, to survive. So
Right.
you kind of, I noticed when I was a kid, making people laugh was a great self-defense mechanism. It really helped me kind of navigate my way through my own home with my older brothers and my dad, and I could diffuse them by making them laugh.
Blake Lively, a star who radiates both old Hollywood glamour and modern-day savvy, joined It Ends With Us, and initially it seemed like a casting coup, a perfect match. A-list star power, a beloved book with a massive fan base, a director with passion. On paper, it was Hollywood gold. Fans were ecstatic, envisioning Lively bringing her charisma and depth to the complex lead role. But behind the scenes, away from the flashing cameras and public pronouncements of excitement, the narrative started to subtly, then not so subtly shift. Rumors began to surface, whispers carried on the Hollywood wind of creative differences. Lively, a force in her own right, an actress with a keen understanding of image and narrative, reportedly felt her character needed more depth, more agency, a different kind of portrayal than initially envisioned. And Blake Lively isn't known for being passive, for simply accepting the status quo. She's a star who shines brightly, and she knows instinctively how she wants to be seen, how her characters should resonate. Whispers grew louder about clashes, about Lively pushing for rewrites, for more control over the direction of her character, about a power dynamic subtly but surely shifting on set. This This wasn't just your typical Hollywood creative disagreement. Something deeper, more strategic, more indicative of hidden agendas seemed to be unfolding behind the scenes of this seemingly feel-good project.
I would say that they're more surprises because they have beginnings, middles, and ends. They're not like, it's not just like a, hey, there's the person and we move on. It's they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said it just earlier, but I wanted to go back on that. You think that this might be the greatest film that you've...
I mean, look, most of the time when the movie is this much fun to make, you out bad.
Then came the leak, the Hollywood equivalent of a digital earthquake. Text messages, purported to be from Lively herself, surfaced online, igniting a wildfire of speculation and intrigue. In these messages, Lively allegedly referenced her inner circle, her protectors, her dragons. Not fire-breathing mythical beasts from a fantasy epic, but her real-life, very powerful inner circle. Husband Ryan Reynolds and surprisingly pop superstar Taylor Swift. The text suggested these dragons weren't just supportive spouses and celebrity friends. They were strategic advisors, powerful allies ready to swoop in, not just as emotional support, but as calculated protectors of Lively's image and narrative. The implications were staggering. This wasn't just about creative differences on a film set anymore. It hinted at a highly calculated PR machine, with Reynolds and Swift allegedly ready to deploy their considerable influence to shape the story surrounding Lively, to control the narrative, to ensure she emerged from any potential controversy unscathed, even enhanced. And if Reynolds was wielding this kind of backstage power, this level of strategic influence for his wife, the question in every studio executive's mind became, what did that mean for his own battles? His own increasing leverage with Marvel over the ever-profitable, ever-controversial Deadpool franchise.
Well, he also just, I know we won't belabor the creative part of it, but too long, but he also unlocked the biggest thing in the, he sent us a 10-minute voice memo.
It was more like 17 minutes.
Which is a terrifying thing to get from anyone. You're like, 17 minutes.
Marvel, already rumored to be more than a little uneasy about Reynolds' growing control, his increasingly assertive hand in the Deadpool universe, reportedly started to bristle, to feel a distinct chill in the air. Were these Deadpool jokes, known for their edgy, meta humor, still just harmless fun, pushing boundaries in a way fans loved? Or were they becoming something else entirely? Were they morphing into personal jabs, veiled criticisms, perhaps even being used to settle scores in the real world, possibly related to the escalating "it ends with us" drama and the rumored tensions surrounding Lively? The studio, fiercely protective of its multi-billion-dollar brand, of its carefully constructed universe, allegedly drew a line in the sand, a stark warning shot across the bow. Rumors, fueled by anonymous insiders, exploded across the internet of a legal motion, a looming lawsuit, a studio power play designed to rein in Reynolds, to remind him, and perhaps the entire industry watching with bated breath, who really held the ultimate power in Hollywood. The whispers suggested Marvel wanted to muzzle Deadpool, to clip Reynolds' wings, to ensure that no single star, no matter how beloved by fans, could ever become bigger, more influential than the studio itself. The stakes were sky high, reaching far beyond just a contract dispute. The very future of Deadpool as fans knew it, Reynolds' carefully crafted comedic reputation hanging in the balance, and the delicate, ever-shifting balance of power in the gleaming, cutthroat world of Hollywood.
Well, that is also accurate and weirdly high praise as well. It was just one of those. It felt like a live-action Pixar movie. It was something that, I wanted to do something where nobody was being stabbed in the face.
Yes.
There was almost no blood at all. I think I got a little paper cut on the movie. That was about it. And something that my kids can watch, but also as a parent, too, you want the parents need to get punched right in the heart as well.
The internet, as it inevitably does, erupted. Headlines screamed from every corner of the digital landscape. Fans, fiercely loyal as always, took sides, creating digital battle lines in the sand. Reynolds, once the untouchable comedic king, the beloved underdog who'd conquered Hollywood on his own terms, suddenly faced a harsh glare of public scrutiny. Was he still the lovable, self-deprecating jokester, or had the intoxicating cocktail of fame, fortune, and creative control subtly, almost imperceptibly shifted his persona? Lively, long admired for her poise, her red carpet elegance, her savvy understanding of the celebrity game, suddenly faced uncomfortable questions. Whispers about her behind-the-scenes tactics. Was she a strategic mastermind, brilliantly protecting her career in a notoriously ruthless industry? Or was she, as some now darkly suggested, a ruthless operator, manipulating narratives, orchestrating negativity towards anyone who dared to step out of line or challenge her vision? Even Baldoni, the well-intentioned director who just wanted to tell a meaningful story, found himself unexpectedly thrust into the harsh glare of the spotlight, an unwitting pawn in a much larger, much more dramatic Hollywood game. The future of Deadpool, once seemingly invincible, now hung precariously in the balance. Projects were reportedly put on hold, studios across town watched with hawk-like intensity, and Hollywood as a whole held its breath, waiting to see if careers would be irrevocably scorched, or if reputations could somehow be salvaged from the dragon fire that had been unleashed.
About a month ago, this really hit home with me too. About a month ago, I was sitting in traffic and I was just like jamming These Dreams by heart. I was killing it in the car. And there was just this busload of high school kids that were parked right beside me. I didn't even realize. I looked over and every one of their jaws were just on the ground, laughing their friggin' guts out at me.
The Reynolds' lively Marvel maelstrom wasn't just contained within the sound stages and executive offices directly involved. Like a Hollywood earthquake, the tremors were felt across the entire industry. Other studios, watching the drama unfold with a mixture of fascination and trepidation, began to reassess their own star relationships. Were they giving their A-listers too much creative leeway? Were their contracts watertight enough to prevent similar power struggles? Whispers circulated about studios quietly reviewing their agreements, tightening clauses, and having hushed conversations about talent management, industry code for controlling star power. For actors, especially those with burgeoning franchises and massive social media followings, the situation was a double-edged sword. On one hand, it highlighted the potential for stars to wield significant influence, to push for creative control, to even challenge studio decisions. On the other hand, it served as a stark warning. Cross the line, push too hard, and even the most beloved star could find themselves facing studio pushback, legal battles, and a potentially tarnished reputation. The Reynolds-Marvel standoff became a cautionary tale, a very public example of the delicate, often volatile balance of power in Hollywood, and the high stakes involved when that balance is disrupted. At the heart of the Marvel-Reynolds conflict, beyond the power plays and PR battles, lay a fundamental question. What is Deadpool without its edgy, boundary-pushing humor? The character's very DNA was built on irreverence, on fourth-wall-breaking meta-jokes, on pushing the limits of what a superhero movie could be. Fans hadn't just embraced Deadpool, they'd embraced the unpredictability, the sense that anything could be said, anything could be lampooned. But studios, by their very nature, are risk-averse. They thrive on brand consistency, on carefully managed public images, on avoiding anything that could be perceived as controversial or, even worse, legally problematic. Marvel's alleged pushback against Reynolds' jokes wasn't just about one movie, it was about the soul of Deadpool itself. Was the studio trying to sanitize the character, to rein in the very comedic wildness that had made him a global phenomenon? Could Deadpool survive if his comedic edges were dulled, if his irreverence was watered down to meet corporate risk assessments? The debate raged. Was Marvel protecting its brand, or was it stifling the very creative spark that had made Deadpool so unique and so wildly successful in the first place? The future of Deadpool's humor, and perhaps the future of R-rated superhero movies in general, seemed to hang in the balance. As the Hollywood drama unfolded, the question on everyone's mind was, how would it all end? Would Reynolds and Marvel find a way to reconcile, to bridge the widening gap between star power and studio control? Would cooler heads prevail, leading to a negotiated truce, a carefully worded public statement about creative collaboration and mutual respect? Or was a full-blown legal battle inevitable, a messy public showdown that would leave scars on both sides, damaging reputations and potentially jeopardizing the future of the Deadpool franchise? The truth, as is often the case in Hollywood, remained shrouded in secrecy, whispered in hushed tones behind closed doors. Perhaps a compromise was reached, a behind-the-scenes agreement that allowed both sides to save face and move forward. Perhaps the legal threats were just that, Threats designed to exert pressure and ultimately pave the way for negotiation. Or perhaps beneath the surface of carefully crafted press releases and strategically placed leaks, a deeper conflict remained unresolved, a simmering tension that could erupt again at any moment. One thing, however, was certain. In Hollywood, the show always goes on. Regardless of the outcome of this particular drama, the cameras would keep rolling, the premieres would continue, and the never-ending dance between star power and studio control would find new stages, new players, and new storylines to captivate audiences both on and off the screen. And the dragons, as they always do in Hollywood, would undoubtedly find new fires to breathe. So, who really runs Hollywood? Is it the studios, the corporate behemoths guarding their intellectual property like Fort Knox, wielding billion-dollar budgets and ironclad contracts? Or is it the stars, the actors and actresses who, in the age of social media and hyperconnectivity, wield the immense power of millions of followers, massive fan bases, and the ability to shape public perception with a single tweet? This Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, and Marvel saga is far more than just celebrity gossip fodder. It's a revealing glimpse into the ongoing, never-ending power struggle at the very heart of the entertainment industry. Justin Baldoni, in all of this chaos, just wanted to make a heartfelt movie to share a message of kindness and empathy with the world. And somehow, ironically, he became a footnote, a comedic punching bag in a potential Hollywood showdown of epic proportions. Will Reynolds emerge victorious? Deadpool's irreverence untamed? His creative control solidified? Can Lively's carefully constructed golden image fully recover from the dragon whispers? Or will she forever be associated with hidden agendas and backstage manipulation? And will Marvel, in the end, successfully remind everyone, from rising stars to established icons, that no one, absolutely no one, is bigger than the studio itself? The final credits haven't rolled on this real-life Hollywood drama yet. In this town, the story is always continuing, always evolving, and the dragons, well, they might just be getting ready to breathe fire again.